My name is Jerry Isaac. I'm from Tanacross. I was born in 1953. My biological parents were the late Oscar and Martha Isaac. I had a very traumatic early years in my life. My mother was sent to a sanitarium in Anchorage for tuberculosis. And in those days, the survival rate wasn't very high. I was raised by my grandparents, Joe and Selena Joseph. There was a lot of loneliness and a lot of overwhelming feelings of not belonging. The only reinforced love I got, of course, was from my grandmother and my late sister, Arlene. She was about a year older than me. Of course, she thought she was a big sister, and she took the role of being the one in command. You know, we enjoyed each other's company, and, you know, especially at night when that darkness brings, you know, the sharpness of thinking and feelings. And so I was a very scared little boy, and I couldn't sleep by myself. And, you know, the boogeymen and ghosts were real. And so she would just go sleep with me, but it took me a while to go to bed. The elders, they took care of us. At an early age, they started to teach you that body of water has life, as does a simple little pebble. The human mind cannot fathom how long it's been here. So in our native way of respecting that's its quality. Like the river, like lakes and the streams, its quality is that liquid, and it sustains you. And so you don't do things that is disrespectful. Same with animals, moose, caribou. The beaver spirit is a hard working. They're a busy little animal, you know. You know, those new chippings by the beaver when it's knocking trees down, those little chippings. When we're small, they put a few of those in our pockets. His hard-working spirit, you know, permeates your being. My grandfather fed me porcupine heart. And the porcupine spirit is that it's not scared. Number one, control of yourself. Number two, clear thinking. Number three, composure, in spite of being fearful. Grandma would have us go haul water along with her so that we learn the task to be responsible for it. And we'd help feed the dogs. You know, we'd help bring wood in. And those times when my sister went to school, I became even more lonely because she was my friend, you know. I'd stand by the window watching for her. My whole world stopped when she went out the door. There was a lot of drinking in the village when I was growing up. There was a lot of violence. Sometimes we'd take the kids and we'd go hide in the tall grass, because at their home there's a lot of disturbance, and you know, we tried to help each other. She would tell me that we have to pray, because if we pray, Mom's going to come back. So mainly our prayer is that we want our mom home, and mainly to keep the drunks in the village from subjecting us to threatened feelings. My sister, of course, ran up to me and grabbed me and said, "Mom's coming home." And she was jumping up and down, "Our mom's coming home, mom's coming home." And I'm like, "Who is mom?" You know? And we went over to the airfield and we saw this plane land. And then my mother came out. A big portion of my growing up years was heavily impacted by her absence. I was a crybaby that felt comfortable only in my grandmother's arms, and so that sort of displaced me with everybody. I'd drift to my mom's house and stay there for a few days, but also wanted to stay with my grandmother and grandfather. I had feelings of loneliness, and those things they bred deeper. Those are demons I have fought all of my life. The first snowmobiles were introduced into the village. It was fun. I mean, like, we ran after them things and we tried to hitch a ride. We tried to hitch sleds to them. I mean, it was fun. We started to live more sedentary type of life. I went to junior high in Toke. One time I got a little too disruptive in the class, so Mr. Korb disciplined me by keeping me in class. He sat down and talked with me. He said, "You're too old a kid to spank." And he says, "But then you have to realize that there are good things about you." That was where I was made to see for myself that I could learn. And I started to have this voracious habit of reading. And one of the boys blurted out about something. "That's a disgrace." I still remember that word. I didn't know what it meant. And so I started to read the dictionary. I'm happy to say I read most of it. My big sister advised that maybe you should go to school in Shimao because all the kids are there. We were at a bigger school, everybody, there was a lot of fun, but still, in the dark part of your mind, there's that sadness. I started to sleep lots. I graduated when I was really in full effect of the depression. And then I remember that was the year I just started to drink, and it compounded. It was days after days after days, and people thought I was going crazy, and I didn't have any medication or counseling or anything. I told you about that feeling that I grew up with, that loneliness and stuff like that, and I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to stay by myself because, obviously I was scared still. And I've known my wife, because we're from the Upper Tanacross, there's potlatches, there's dances, and, I know her. It went from there to romance, In my Indian way of marriage, you sought a woman from a different clan, which she was. And then if both parents and grandparents approved, then that's it. And I followed that. I had 3 boys and a girl. I went to training in January of 1975, called the Corporate Management Training, Tanacross Chief's CETA program. That's where I started to learn about politics and leadership. And there again, my sister, Arlene, one day she was making fun of me. She said, "Jay, you talk just like a white man." And boy, it really irritated me. I said, "Why do you have to say stuff like that?" And she says, "I think you should be president of something someday." And I said, "No, you gotta be crazy, because that ain't what I want to do." So I get a kick out of her sometimes. And then, lo and behold, it come to pass that I got into that. She died, tragic accident, car accident. The car rolled over and she got killed in that. The thing I miss about her the most, and to this day it still exists, is I just don't have my big sister to run to anymore. And that year she died was when I first became member of my local tribal council. I went to a few meetings and started to wonder, how come there's no follow-up on action, And that kind of led me step further into the realm of tribal leadership. Pretty soon, there's this mountain of a question that you have to climb higher and higher in order to understand it. I have had addiction issues, alcoholism and drug abuse and stuff. The first step towards dealing with your addiction is to accept the fact that you are addicted and that you're powerless. It has control over you. And it's not okay. It's not okay to not take care of your kids. It's not okay to be slapping and punching at your wife. It's not okay to be so dysfunctional like that. But as you think of it more and more, it becomes clear that addiction is more powerful than you want to admit. It's there. Addicts and alcoholics will find those many moments when you're alone. You just don't know what alone means until you get into it. There's a very mysterious phenomenon about being alone. And in those areas, you only have you and what you believe in to walk through that part. You're never going to have somebody standing there or walking with you. There's only going to be you and that which you believe in. Mine was God. Times when I couldn't see the path anymore, and just my belief, my faith alone, that helped me walk through that. You have to believe in yourself in order to get there. As father and as mother, we all have, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we have favorites in the family. There's always that one kid that's so near and dear. He became airborne infantry, and he excelled at his job. It's just something happened, and he wasn't happy. The last year, you can tell his behavior changed, his attitude changed, and then he just keeps saying, I'm scared, and I don't know what to do. And When he was going to the military, I gave him a medicine bag, a little satchel, you know. In our native way, you carry the spirit of your land, your people, you know, along with you so that you'd be safe. And one day he gave back to me, and you know, he was out of the military now, so I thought, well, he doesn't need now that he was out of the military, but little did I know that was, you know, the stuff that happens before the successful completion of committing the final act. And the family, they weren't getting along. My family, they weren't getting along. His younger brother that joined the military but was in the Air Force, they designated him to drive his brother home, and on the way back, right in front of him, he took out his .45 caliber and shot himself. I wish it hadn't happened that way, but those are the pains that I have to live with. And I wish I'd done things different, but you know, things happen the way they do, and you're left holding the bag to live your life, you know. So. You got to learn how to live and enjoy what you have. You know, after my son did that, a few years after that, I started having grandbabies. It's like a clear blue sky, clouds and sunshine, birds flying, my little babies. They don't know how strong they are carrying me through. Shania is the one I call Nishta Tel, because it literally means she carries me through. Because when my wife died in November of 2006, she was in her mom's womb, my daughter. And every day I looked forward to a new baby. I'd give her bottle, and you know, and then she'd want to sit on me, and then I'd have her sit on me, and then I was like this, you know, and she was down here. One day she crawled up here and laid across my arm. I was like, okay, okay, we'll do that then. Grandfather's instruction was, learn the white man's language. You learn his language, then you can do anything in his life. You can build a bridge across both worlds. You can live in the subsistence way of life as comfortably as you could, being the person who runs an operation, runs a business, being a teacher, and being good at it. I sing and dance, but yet I can also two-step. I can eat food along campfire, but at the same time, I can go to the swankiest restaurant and be aware of the etiquette it requires for me to eat. You got to learn how to live in each way and feel comfortable and be self-accepting. I always believed in Native American pride. I am who I am. I'm all I have. You know, I'm what I am, but I could also be what I could be. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And I love that.